But a lot of times the questions that I get from you, and I get thousands of them, okay? The way the question is worded, I can already understand part of the problem. The people who come to me and say, why is it that your prophet was 53 years old and he had sex with a 6-year-old girl? How many of you heard that question? Too many. How would you answer the question? Who would like to try to answer that one? Anybody? You'd like to answer it? Or you think you can answer it? I wouldn't like to even talk to the person after they said that. You notice what's wrong with the question? It has mistakes in the question. First of all, it's not 6, it's 9. How many of you noticed that? But you know how they did it? It's real easy if you know Arabic. You change the literal letters to English. Tissa was sitta. Same letters, just switch them around. You can fool somebody who doesn't know. Sitta, tissa, 9, 6, no difference. That's one. Yeah, you think those people are just playing? What's the other one? The question itself has a huge problem in it. What did it say? It said he had sex. What did that imply? No marriage. Was he married to her? Who was it? Actually, it's nobody, because there's no such thing as 6 years old. That's not real. So it's not even a deal. You could stop them right there. You can say, okay, I'll tell you real easy. That never happened. Next question. Now they got to go come up with some proof, don't they? Because this answer is very, very important. Look how many things you can cover with this answer. First of all, you say your question has problems in it. But still, it's my responsibility as a Muslim to answer your question. And as a Muslim, I must always tell the truth. I have to tell the truth. That's a requirement as a Muslim. So I'm going to tell you that. The next thing is that when you ask a question, if it has something wrong with it, don't we have to straighten it out? For instance, if I went to you, and you're talking to them, and I went to you, and I said to you, by the way, can you answer me yes or no? Is your mother out of jail yet? My mother's not in jail. No, yes or no? Is your mother out of jail? Well, my mother's not in jail. Oh, I'm glad she got out. What could he say? And that's a hard thing to tell somebody something like that, because that's evil, that's mean, that's rude to talk like that, isn't it? Isn't it? To say something like that. You're saying something that's not true in the question. Either I'm going to accept it and try to answer that, which is wrong, or else I'm going to try to dispute with you in the question, and that's not going to work. We have to clean the question up. Let's do that. The next thing I have to ask you is, where did you get this statement from? Because in Islam, for us, we don't consider something to be true unless we know where it came from. Did you get it in a dream? Because if you did, we're not going to take it. If you pulled it off the internet, that's as bad as dreaming. I want to know what's the source for what you said. You've said a monstrous thing here. Where did you get this from? And you know what I want them to say? I want them to say it's in Hadith. I want them to say that. You know why? Because I want to introduce a beautiful subject to them called Rawaya. Because they don't realize that the whole society that we have today hinges on the science of Hadith. There wouldn't be this university here that you're sitting in if it weren't for the science of Hadith. How many of you know that? Because science as we know it today is to take information and test it against reality and see if it holds water or not. Yes or no? That's science, isn't it? You check and you recheck and you check and you recheck, and that's how you determine what's up and what's down. Yes or no? And you never agree in science on something illogical, do you? This is what? Up. I'm pointing up. What is that? It's up. Huh? In all societies, that's up, right? And that's down. If that's down and that's up, we're never going to have a logical argument where you're going to come along and switch it and say, well, today that's going to be up and that'll be down. Right? It's called logic. And science is based on something called proof. Right? And how we know is from the science of hadith. The pattern used to test to see if something's true was used by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, who was his student. And all of the great shuyukh until this day rely on that science to find out, did he say it? Did he do it? Did he approve of it? Did he forbid it? This is the science of hadith. Is that right? Did you know that Scotland Yard in England based exactly their science of criminology on the same thing? Did you know that? Well, they didn't either. So when you tell them that, they go, really? Yes. Did you ever read Sherlock Holmes? It's a fictitious character, but the methodology, the manhaj is the same. Take information and compare it against truths. And when something doesn't work, you don't accept it. They're saying, yeah, but I don't understand. Because what I'm going to tell you is, this hadith that you're talking about is something we understand real well. And I'm going to be the first one to tell you I believe it more than you believe it. Because you're not even sure there was somebody named Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but I am. I'm positive there was. You're not even sure there was somebody named Jesus, but I'm positive that there was. You're not positive there was somebody named Moses or Abraham, and I'm positive there was. Because you don't know how to check this. And they're going, huh? What? Many Christians, and I've read their books, think that Abraham is like a made-up guy that they just refer to and maybe didn't even exist. It's true. A lot of Christians say, well, it's the spirit of Jesus. We don't really know if he lived in or though. It doesn't really matter. Really? I never met a Muslim, though, who didn't believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam really was a person who walked on the earth. Because we have a proof. That's Islam. It's based on proof, proof, proof. Dalil. What's the dalil? The hadith. What does the hadith say? What's the first words of every hadith? Do you know? The first word in every hadith says what? No. On the authority of somebody. Isn't that how they all start? And the hadith about the marriage of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to Ayesha radiallahu anha always start out with what? On Ayesha. She's the one that told the story. The hadith you're bringing me is by her. Yes or no? They don't know what you're talking about. Because you bring the hadith and show them she said that when she was about 9 years old, tissa, not sitta, that she was playing and her parents called her inside. Who called her inside? Did the Prophet ﷺ call her inside and say, hey, come on over here, I got a lollipop for you? Astaghfirullah. This is the way they're bringing it. It's her parents. And by the way, both parents. Something the people in the Western society don't understand because they don't have both parents. Either they're not married anymore or they never were in the first place.